friends. Welcome to our animal neighbors in Cambridge. I'm Jenny the Juggler, and I was just working on a little music. Here, let me share some with you. Do you hear that? I'm gonna look out my window. It's got red feathers. It's beautiful. It's sitting in the branch of the tree right out there. I wonder what it is. You think it's a cardinal? I've always wondered about cardinals. If only there was someone I could ask. Oh, but there is someone. Let's give them a call. Well, Dr. Edwards, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have you. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about what you do.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm a professor at Harvard University, which means I teach and I do research in biology. And I'm particularly interested in birds. Birds are my favorite organisms. And that's what I do for my job, is to study them and to teach students about them.
What is your field called? I'm sure it has a fancy scientific name.
Well, I try not to use that fancy scientific name too much, but if you really want to know, my field is called ornithology. Ornithology. Yeah.
So ornithology is the study of birds, and you are an ornithologist.
That's right. I'm an ornithologist.
When do you remember first being interested in birds?
Well, I grew up in part of New York City called Riverdale in the Bronx. And there actually were a lot of trees and a lot of green space. And a neighbor took me bird watching once. I think I was probably 10 or 11. And I really got excited when I could identify a species of woodpecker called a flicker, a northern flicker, in my backyard. It's this really goofy colored woodpecker that you just can't mistake for anything else. And that got me really excited when I realized I could identify the pictures in the book and see them out in nature.
We are here today to discuss none other than the cardinal.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That is great.
This is
I love cardinals.
Our wonderful, larger than life size puppets that you can see every year in the Honk Festival.
Cardinals are great birds. They're so bright, and you know, your mask really captures that red. And so the other great thing about cardinals is that they're with us all year round in Cambridge and other areas. Many birds that are here in the summertime, they leave in the winter. They go to warmer places.
You're saying that they don't migrate. They're one of the few birds that's here, and they're also like still functioning. They're not like hibernating in the winter. They're out and about. What do they eat in the wintertime?
Well, you'll often see cardinals at bird feeders in the wintertime. So they eat seeds. And we know that because and I think your mask captures this really well. You can see their big conical beak. That means their beak is shaped like a cone. And that tells us immediately that they are a seed eater. Seeds are very hard, and birds that eat seeds need a really big beak. And so that's one of the really distinctive features of cardinals.
So cardinals must have some predators. I wonder who eats cardinals and what are the threats to their, I know seeds keep them alive. What threatens their existence?
Well, a lot of birds that live in the Cambridge area are threatened by certainly different human activities. And so, for example, those pet cats that a lot of people have, well, when they get outside, they often are eating birds. So we should be very careful to keep our pet cats in the house and not let them roam outside too much. Another predator of cardinals are Cooper's hawks. Cooper's hawks are a medium-sized hawk, which, believe it or not, is found all through Cambridge. It's actually a very common hawk. And that particular kind of hawk, it focuses specifically on birds. A lot of hawks will catch mice or rodents. Cooper's hawks are specialists on birds. So cardinals need to watch out for Cooper's hawks.
Okay, so what else can you tell me? I know they have a beautiful bird song, and tell us about their songs.
Well, cardinals are interesting because they actually, like many birds, their song comes from a special voice box in their throat called a syrinx. That's the special organ that birds have, but we humans don't have. And the other neat thing about cardinal song is that they actually start singing in the spring. Starting to sing, and then they're starting to mark their territories so that other males don't come into their territory. And I always find it really amazing that they're so active. They're thinking about their future and finding a mate, which will probably take place in April.
Dr. Edwards, what about their feathers? Why are the male birds so red? And why are the females like this brownish peach color?
That's a really great question. Cardinals are one of the reddest birds we have, and they have a special pigment in their feathers. The cool thing is that they actually get their red color in their plumage. They don't make it themselves. They have to get it from fruits and seeds that they eat. And often this pigment is actually yellow when they ingest it, but they actually turn it chemically into something that looks red. You're absolutely right. The male cardinal is bright red, whereas the female is a dull brown. And that is probably because males are competing out there. They try to be as red and as loud as possible so the females notice them. Now, by contrast, the females, they're the ones that are often feeding the chicks in the nest. Not always. Sometimes the male helps as well, but the female has to remain very difficult to see so that those Cooper's hawks can't find it. And that's one reason we think the female is dull brown, because it matches her environment really well, and predators have a hard time finding her as she's moving back and forth to her nest to feed the chicks. So in many bird species, the female will be very dull colored so that they can hide in their environment. The ornithology collection is at the Harvard Museum of Natural History, and hopefully when the museum opens up again, you'll make a beeline there, because it's probably my favorite museum in Cambridge, and it's a great place to learn about a lot of the local birds. And so I would encourage you to visit the Harvard Museum of Natural History when you next get a chance.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to open. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And there are also birds from all over the world on display. And so you can really learn a lot about how our local birds here in Cambridge fit into the big picture of bird diversity across the world.
Dr. Edwards, thank you so much for joining our animal neighbors in Cambridge today.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I've really enjoyed it, and happy bird watching.
Thank you. You too.